What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are going to be ranking the John Wick series now that we have John Wick Chapter 4 out in theaters. This is a film franchise that I've actually enjoyed every single one of them, some more than others, but I can't believe that this film franchise has been consistent with every single one of them, and they've all came out pretty enjoyable. So without me rambling on for too long, let's go ahead and get started with the ranking. Coming in at number 4, I have John Wick Chapter 2. Now, like I said, I enjoy every single film in the franchise, however, some more than others. This is the one that I was kind of disappointed just a little bit, although I enjoyed the action sequences in this movie, and I think the world building in this movie is phenomenal, and they do a really good job of getting you invested in every single character. I think the motivation of John coming back into action was a little bit weak. I was not big on the villain in this movie, and it just took me out just a little bit. But once we get into the action and John is back in there, everything is enjoyable. The stunt choreography is fantastic. It starts off with a great chase sequence, and it ends with a perfect, not only sequel setup, but cliffhanger that I really enjoyed, and it's probably one of the best sequel setups that I've seen in recent years. Coming in at number 3 is probably going to be a very controversial one, and that is the original John Wick. Even though I really enjoyed this movie to my shock and surprise, I really enjoyed the elements. It gave us a really good motivation as to why we're getting behind all this crazy mayhem. It's still one of the best in the franchise, but what they do in this movie by setting up John Wick, setting up this world, setting up the Continental, it was just a lot of fun. And even though this is the shortest and the most surprising one out of all 4 of them, this movie had everything that you wanted to see. A lot of great action. It coined the term gung fu. Everything about this movie is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best action films that we've had in a long while, and I really enjoyed what this movie did for this franchise, and it gave us a really good motivation as to why we're getting behind this character and a lot of the carnage. The villain in this movie is okay. I really do enjoy them, but aside from that, the writing here and there is a little bit scotty, but I really enjoyed this movie for what it did for the franchise. Coming in at number 2, I have John Wick Chapter 3. Now, this one is one of the best since the first film. I thought the world building that he did in this movie, a little bit too much, I thought was fantastic. The villain in this movie was great. I really enjoyed a lot of the action sequences. However, what took a little bit out of the enjoyment in this movie were a couple of choices that were made towards the end of the film. I wish we could have seen a lot more carnage in New York. I wish we could have seen a lot of what happens when somebody goes excommunicado, and especially when your name is John Wick. This was a fantastic sequel, getting us back into what we loved about the first film, and a lot of the great stunt choreography, the great hand-to-hand combat that we had in this movie was fantastic. Every single time that John Wick was on screen, you felt for him. Halle Berry was absolutely fantastic. I would really love to see a spin-off of her character. I thought she was great, and the final glass battle was fantastic. Even though this film kind of had moments where you had to stretch your disbelief a little bit, I still enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. It was a lot of fun, and it was just one of the best films in the franchise. But coming in at number 1 is going to be John Wick Chapter 4. After pondering for a couple of days, I think this is one of the most creative and innovative films in the franchise. What they do with this movie by setting a lot of great components here and there, it was just absolutely fantastic. This movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes of great action sequences that had you at the edge of your seat. Some of the story here and there was give and take, but this movie felt like it was a conclusive story. It felt like you wrapped everything up and really set up characters that you really enjoyed. Donnie Yen was absolutely fantastic in this movie. The relationship that he has between him and John Wick was great. I really want to see a spin-off between those two. plus other characters that were introduced in this movie I thought was fantastic. Bill Skarsgård was great as the villain. Probably some people don't see it, but I do. I thought he elevated this movie and he had a lot of fun with this role. This movie was just an absolute blast, and my biggest concern about this movie was the 3-hour runtime, and it did not disappoint. This movie felt like you were pumped up with a lot of steroids and you were just in it. It was adrenaline pumping, it was action packed, it was everything that you wanted to see in a John Wick film. And this movie absolutely delivered in those aspects. It was a fun time. The pacing did not feel like it was lacking anywhere. It does feel here and there where there are a couple of moments where you can take a pee break, but other than that, Ian McShane in this movie was the best that he's been in the franchise, and I absolutely adored this movie. There were things that I did not expect to happen in this movie that I was not sure how it was going to play off. But aside from a lot of things that really could have gone wrong with this movie, the one thing that could have gone wrong with this movie would have been that runtime. It was just a lot of fun. What I really enjoyed about this film is the fact that you had some great action sequences, but it also tied everything together, and it was just a lot of fun. But those are my rankings of the John Wick films. What are your rankings? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like this video, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on more. Click that bell notification so you get notified every single time that a video pops up, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.